Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, let's get into the news this Saturday morning. And it looks like another Never Trump rhino has bit to dust. That's right. Ben Sasse of Nebraska has resigned, abruptly resigning, leaving the vacancy to be filled by the GOP governor of Nebraska, which Trump has already said he's going to work closely with to ensure that we get a great person to be appointed to fill out the rest of the term of Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse, of course, was a critic of President Trump, not only critic, but somebody who worked against Trump, who's somebody who worked against the American people. This dude would rather hang out with people like Chuck Schumer, and those kinds of people. Swamp people didn't actually do the hard work necessary to continue to make America great. So he's picking up a job here in my home state of all places. He's coming to the University of Florida. So let's kind of dive into what we have here. It says this: just in Never Trump or Ben Sasse resigning from the Senate seat. Yeah, just dude. Look at him. Doofus. Ben Sasse is expected to resign his Senate seat before the end of the year. Sasse won re-election 2020 and his term was set to expire in 2026. The Nebraska governor will choose Sasse as replacement. Ben Sasse, Republican of Nebraska who frequently clashed with former President Donald Trump but won a second term, and 2020 is expected to resign from office before the end of the year. Source familiar with the We move confirmed to the NBC News on Thursday. Sasse is expected to exit the Senate to take a new job leading University of Florida. Disorder said. Let's see here. And according to Fox News, Sasse is headed to the University of Florida for a lucrative gig. This is right out. This is right for the University of Florida, right for the state of Florida, and right for Sasse family. Ruhala Patel, the chair of the school's presidential search committee, said Ben brings intellectual curiosity, a belief in the power and potential of American universities, an unmatched track record of leadership spending, higher education, government and private sector. He has worked tirelessly for decades to empower people and accomplish his goals. He said Sasse was one of the toxic Never Trump heirs, who voted to convict Trump on his second impeachment. Good riddance. So Trump didn't respond to this. By the way, I want to go and pull up that response that Trump had for Ben Sasse. Leaving, I thought, was pretty hilarious. As I say. So here we go. Let's pull up. President Donald Trump says great news for you, the United States Senate and our country itself. Little Ben Sasse, the lightweight senator from the great state of Nebraska, will be resigning. If he knew he was going to resign so early in his term, why did he run in the first place? But it is still great news. The University of Florida will soon regret their decision to hire him as their president. We have enough weak and ineffective rhinos in our midst. I look forward to working with the terrific Republican Party of Nebraska to get a real senator to represent the incredible people of that state. Not another fake right now. Yes, absolutely. So we'll see what happens as this story continues to develop. We'll see who President Donald Trump will want to endorse and maybe help push over the finish line over there in Nebraska to get them to be appointed to that seat. So we'll see all the things that are going to be taking place, and see how things work out, and we'll continue to keep you informed about that decision. And that's why I've been warning Democrats to calm down with the hopium to return to reality, because that's exactly what the polls are going to do, return back to reality. Lo and behold, exactly as predicted. Many people were doom and gloom, saying the Democrats' surge in the polls was clearly going to be a short-term phenomenon. And as you can see, roughly a month and a half later, Democrats are possibly in the worst position. They have been heading into the midterms, and I've got the data to back that statement up. Probably one of the most historically accurate data points actually when it comes to predicting future elections. And boy, the left boys are not gonna like this. So you will absolutely love it. Alright, friends. So trust me, I am not overstating when I tell you that this is the doomsday scenario for the Democrats. Gallup data, one of the most accurate pollsters out there. Gallup doesn't mess around when it comes to their data. They have a long storied history of accuracy and success. And one of the most historically accurate predictors of presidential outcomes and midterm elections is Gallup polls, party affiliation data. And when I tell you guys that these numbers are big and bad for the Democrats, I mean, these numbers are dramatic. It's a dramatic shift in a 1-month period. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. Asked of Independence. As of today, Do you lean more to the Democratic Party or to the Republican Party? Here's the historical data. I'm gonna block out the September report here, create a little bit of suspense, or just to really make the point, we covered almost all of these numbers. And it's been absolutely stellar across the border for Republicans, except for the month of August. Republicans' support side dramatic decrease in the month of August. We were seeing this across polling data. I said, for the most part, I think it's going to be a little blip in the radar, a little speed bump, don't worry about it. But overall, the numbers have been pretty damn good. We've been covering Republicans at some of the highest levels at 47, 46, 45%. Beating Democrats with independents when it comes to party identification. That the month of August obviously was really bad. Democrats, such Democrat leaders were at 48%, Republicans dropped all the way down below 40% to 39%. Terrible. Well, how 1 month can make such a difference? Take a look at the number that they just released. That is a 9-point increase for Republican-leaning independents for the month of September. This data collected from the 1st to the 16th. 48% of independent voters identify as Republican, 44% as Democrats. That is not only an astonishing shift, that's an incredible lead. And that literally changes everything. When we're looking at undecideds, when we're looking at independents, or we're looking at states like Arizona, where we're looking at Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and even Michigan. This is telling us that Democrat Senate candidates don't have a big enough lead to carry these states. In other words, John Fetterman just pooped his pants, excuse the imagery. But seriously, his campaign is shitting bricks. Let's be real here. That is party identification. When it comes to independent voters are the most important voter bloc. Those are the exact people that you need to win over in order to win an election. It's not that staunch Republicans are the vote blue no matter who crowd they're going to show up to vote regardless, you already got them on your team. It's the independents, the people who aren't convinced yet, the people who aren't necessarily political, aren't necessarily paying attention 100%, or depending on how the current economic situation is, how certain factors are, they're gonna vote a certain way. Like, for instance, right now, things aren't exactly going so well. So a lot of independent voters are just going to say, well, if things aren't working under Democrat control, let's try Republican, and that seems to be happening right now. And on the flip side, when it comes to party affiliation, it's an equally dramatic shift. Take a look at this in politics as of today. Do you consider yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? 43% labeled themselves as independent in the month of August, as well as the month of September. 30% identify as Democrats in August. 24% identify as Republicans, and now in September it's literally switched. It's flipped. 24% identify as Democrats and 30% identify as Republicans. They gained a 6-point edge in party affiliation in 1 month with independents. Their support grew 9 points. And when it comes to baseline party affiliation, Republicans are up 6, Democrats are down 6. This is all-out panic mode. Red alarm, 5 alarm fire, red wave tsunami trigger warning currently going off in the Democrat HQ and on Twitter. They are freaking, and in fact, this political shift is so undeniable. It's so incredibly powerful that it's even having an impact on Twitter's favorite pollsters. Folks, we've covered Politico Morning Consult, and of course Economist/YouGov. I've showed you polls where they oversampled Democrats by nearly 20 points. I've showed you just how skewed these polls are. Guess what? Nothing's changed. They're still oversampling Democrats, even though the Gallup data is suggesting that more people are currently identifying as Republicans. But anyways, even in the polls where Democrats are severely oversampled, Democrat support is dropping precipitously. YouGov has been showing anywhere from a +6 to a +8 Democrat lead over the last 2 months. That lead has now dropped for Democrats to 1 point. And considering this YouGov poll is probably anywhere from 4 to 6% off underrepresenting or underestimating GOP support, well, that pretty much tells you all you need to know. Democrats are taking everywhere, even in their own polls, their own push polls that are meant to overstate their support. This is an undeniable shift. But it's also not exactly surprising if you were paying attention to voter sentiment, paying attention to suburban voters in their voting intentions, paying attention to voter registration shifts, and paying attention to just the bad practice to malpractice, whatever you want to call it, of the polling industry at large. This is not surprising in the least, it's basically what was expected. It's what we've been expecting. It's what we've been predicting for the last month and a half. And it's no surprise that it's happening, because the GOP is leading on every single issue, or at least the most important issues. The 2022 election, no matter how hard the Democrats try, is not going to be about abortion. It's going to be about pretty much everything else. And the GOP leads everywhere. Again, we go right back to Gallup data. GOP leads on image handling terrorism and nation's prosperity. And of course, the GOP is also winning on crime. The GOP is winning on education and various other issues, all of which are more important to voters than abortion. That is just a simple fact that hoping Democrats refuse to acknowledge, refuse to admit, and on top of all of it, Biden's image continues to slide. His approval rating saw a little bit of a bump in August, but it's already heading down to the extremely low 40s and in many cases is dropping below 40 into the 30s. This is the perfect storm, folks, the perfect storm for a red tsunami, for a massive historic Democrat defeat, when it comes to voter registration, when it comes to the polls, presidential approval rating, economic sentiment. I mean, the list just goes on. And on and on and on. And this is very simply why I never bought into the doom and gloom and the Democrat narrative. So many people saying the red wave is dead, even Republicans. I refuse to take the black pill because the data and all of the important factors were telling a completely different story. Now, of course, we'll still have to see what happens, but let's just say this is looking really bad for Democrats and their electoral prospects in the near future. That, I'd say, is a simple fact that is just the current reality, and the data that I showed you guys today is probably the strongest evidence that we have had as of yet. I mean, what an absolutely dramatic shift. Keep coping, Democrats, it's just not going your way. Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below if